Friends, this past week on Shabbat, we began the Torah from the beginning, the book of Genesis. We read about Adam, we read about Eve, and the following 10 generations that filled the world with corruption and wokeism. And God was let down. And he felt like the world needs to be reset, as it couldn't exist the way it was. He was about to destroy the world. But there was one man, friends, that saved the day, and his name was Noach. And in his merit, you and I are here today to tell his story. This man Noach was a great man, a righteous man. He wasn't Jewish. In fact, he's the only person to have the distinction of being explicitly described in the Bible as a tzaddik, a righteous man, perfect in his time. This man Noach saved civilization, and every human being alive today in the world is one of his descendants. Notwithstanding the ridicule of his neighbors and acquaintances, he trusts God implicitly and single-handedly builds this enormous ark like a cruise. It actually takes him 120 years to build. And he's undoubtedly a man of great faith who rejects world opinion and peer pressure. And he retains his integrity despite living in the most morally depraved generation in the history of humanity. However, friends, not only is he not considered to be Jewish, we actually refer to all non-Jews as the children of Noach. Because only Abraham, who was born 10 generations later, gets the title as the first Jew. Why? Why? So the defining difference between Noach and Abraham is not about how holy or pious they were, but rather how much they cared for others and how much influence their holiness had on those around them. You see, the reason why Abraham is considered the first Jew is not because he was the first to know God, but because he was the first to make it his life's mission to teach others to also know God. You see, Noach was an unconditional believer who didn't care what anyone said about him. He was spiritual, he was devoted to God, and he was unflinching in his commitments. But he never took responsibility for those around him. Because the hallmark of a Jew, my dear friends, is not only what he believes, but that he inspires others to believe. Not only that she is good, but that she infuses her surroundings with goodness. And friends, this is where Noach failed, and where both Abraham and Sarah shined. When they began their journey to the promised land, they took along with them hundreds of converts who have been inspired by the generosity of Abraham and Sarah, by the love from Abraham and Sarah to others, and their logical teachings that were taught with patience and understanding to everyone that they interacted with. You know, friends, I was once learning with a group of children about the foundational Jewish idea that all Jews are really responsible for one another. Kol Yisrael arevim ze lezeh. So I had them do a project. I had them draw a puzzle on the large blank pieces I gave them. It was a big puzzle, a whole bunch of blank pieces. And I had to draw, each kid drew something in them. But there was no picture or vision given to the class. So, needless to say, the puzzle didn't work. But then I handed a second set of puzzle pieces. But this time, there was actually an outline of a house on the pieces. So coloring and assembling this puzzle made sense, because each one had their own piece. And they were all able to finish it quickly. And we discussed afterwards, and we debriefed, and one student explained perfectly that we were each only drawing our own piece. I pushed back. Hey, but every piece is separate. Your piece looked just fine on its own. Why does it make a difference to the whole puzzle what color or design you put on your piece? Friends, the obvious takeaway of the activity was how it's true that each Jew has their own unique color and your own unique style. And that's perfectly fine, because all pieces of the puzzle don't need to look the same. In fact, if they did, that would be a boring, ugly puzzle. But friends, the full truth is that each piece of the puzzle is a critical part of the whole puzzle, because all of us exist as a part of something much bigger, a bigger picture, much bigger than any one of us on our own. And even if one individual piece is ruined or missing, that will impact and affect every other piece in the picture. And friends, you know that there's nothing worse than finishing a 999 pieces of your puzzle and discovering that somehow, oops, I lost that 1,000th piece. It may only be one little piece, yet that little piece is undeniably an integral part to the completion and wholesomeness of the puzzle. And friends, this is why it's possible for us as Jewish people to love someone very different than us. Despite their different views on life, on politics, or on religion, we understand that all Jews are deeply connected to each other. And one person's actions directly affect everyone else's. And friends, by the way, while this is true for all of us as Jewish people, it's even more so with those that are willing to risk their lives and stop everything that's going on in their private life just to fight and to protect the Holy Land on behalf of us all. We all know the heroic soldiers of the IDF, many of them heads of families who are on reserve duty for 100, 200, 300 days this past year. They stopped their business, their family life, their children's birthdays, and much more, simply to defend the Holy Land, the land that God gave to our ancestors. So I want to invite you to join us as we meet a mother and a brother of a young man who was taken hostage on October 7th, and also to meet a young man who survived the massacre at the Nova Festival on October 7th. They will be here in Nashville this week. Friends, we're all connected. We all care for one another. And the greatest morale boost we can give our heroes is showing them how strongly we feel attached to them. Please go to ChabadNashville.com for more information to RSVP for this most unique event taking place right here in Nashville this upcoming week. Friends, coming together at a time like this, unifying as one, is what brings victory to the people of Israel and to the Jewish nation globally and to the peace of the entire world. We are all an integral part to the completion and wholesomeness of this puzzle. May we merit to see the time when there will be no more war, no more famine, no more pain, and no more suffering, and all evil and darkness will be transformed into light, the light of God that will fill this world with only goodness and kindness. And friends, again, we are all an integral part to the completion and the wholesomeness of this puzzle to bring about this era of redemption. May it happen speedily in our days with the coming of Mashiach. Amen.